Hi, it's Ryan Dahlin here again. So for our tactical lecture in offsite SEO, we're going to talk about link analysis and penalties, tools and tactics to evaluate and maintain a healthy link profile. So on the agenda today for the lab, we're going to review link profiles and link analysis, as well as penalties. We're going to talk about how you identify potential penalties using analytics data. We're going to go into analyzing a link profile, which is really the big part of link analysis, for obvious reasons. And that's going to include tool demonstrations and also a look at cleanup and recovery options. And finally, some closing caveats and cautions. What is a link profile? This is review for us, right? Your site's link profile is an aggregation of all the backlinks to your site. A link profile should tell you where your backlinks come from, how they got there, and whether they put your site at risk of a penalty. Why is the link profile so important? Well, this is also a review. Modern search. Links still equal authority, but in today's modern search, you get rewarded for good links and penalized for bad links. Knowing your link profile means that you have the data necessary and the skill with the tools required to assess whether your site is at risk of a filter or penalty. What makes a link profile good? A good link profile has quality, relevance, and diversity, just like a high-quality link, which we talked about ad nauseum in the last lecture. Penalties in modern search are often targeted at web spam. That's Matt Cutts, the head of Google's web spam team in that pic there. And penalties that are targeted at link spam include Penguin, which is the one named update, but there are other penalties. There are other algorithmic filters that will suppress your site's rankings in the search engine if you violate whatever kind of rules that they're trying to enforce regarding spam. So the takeaway there is that Penguin is the named update that everybody talks about, but it's just one of many. Penguin works by penalizing pages that get caught violating the Google quality guidelines. Another kind of review discussion of algorithmic versus manual penalties. Algorithmic penalties are automatically applied, and Google search results will be biased against pages that get caught in this algorithmic filter. These are really notoriously tough to diagnose. It takes a lot of skill in link analysis to get it right. And there's not going to be any confirmation from Google or any other search engine that you've actually been penalized. Manual penalties, on the other hand, you get direct confirmation of the penalty via Webmaster Tools. You have a direct line of contact into Google to tell you when the problem has been fixed. And it's honestly better in some ways because you do get that feedback, even though the hit to traffic and search visibility is going to be way more severe. And finally, manual penalties also expire, but that's going to be small consolation to any site owner. And in addition, if you don't correct the issue that initially caused the penalty, you might just get hit with another one. So a little bit more on Penguin. Like I said, it's targeted at pages, just like PageRank, rather than at entire sites. But if it's rampant enough, or if the penalties applied to important pages like the home page, it can be pretty serious and impact your entire site. And again, no timetable for recovery. This is an example of a Penguin hit, right? That's a pretty steep decline, and that's probably not something that you're going to enjoy talking to a client about, and is a pretty good reason why you want to avoid black hat link schemes. So here's a little bit more on algorithmic penalties and a tweet from Matt Cutts. Again, the head of Google's web spam team. He says here that you still have a very mild case of Penguin when dispensing site advice to a tweeter. Now, this is really enlightening because it shows that Penguin is not just kind of a smash and grab manual penalty. It can be subtle and impact your pages by degrees. So what that means is that it can actually, over time, become more severe with more dubious links, and maybe just one or two bad links are suppressing your results maybe 5 or 6 places. Well, that becomes kind of a big deal when you consider, again, that rankings mean dollars. So degrees are important, right? We want to make sure that we're doing everything we can to eliminate all of the negative filters on our sites. And all of these filters that are out there are many. Penguin is just one, and it has a name, and that's why everybody talks about it. So how do you stop the Penguin and associated algorithms? Well, you got to be prepared. You got to know your link profile inside and out. You got to know your tools. You have to know how to recover, and you also have to know when it's maybe time to give up the ghost on a particular site and move on. Getting into link analysis, we're going to talk about the process that I use. We're going to talk about the basics. You got to know your tools, specifically Google Webmaster Tools, Majestic SEO, and Open Site Explorer. Now, these are pretty robust tools that have a lot of different features. We're just going to be looking at the features related to assessing a link profile and doing link analysis today. In addition, Majestic SEO and Open Site Explorer have both free and paid versions. And a lot of the stuff that I'm going to show you is just in the free versions, but you need to know that there is a certain loss of functionality when you're trying to do quality link analysis. I will say right now that both these tools are worth whatever price they're asking for them, and you're going to use them every single day. Then we'll get into the analysis itself and decide whether to take action or not to take action. And this is the first of many reminders to document everything involved in your link analysis. I cannot state this more strongly. You need to know exactly what you've done and when. You might think you'll remember, but you won't. Before we get into doing a link analysis, we'll just kind of set the scene here. Let's just say we got a new site for a new client from account management, okay? So the first thing that we want to do is talk to the client, find out their marketing goals, talk a little bit about strategy, and more importantly, for our purposes, talk about how the site has been doing in terms of linking so far. There's no such thing as too much information when it comes to getting a client to talk about their site's link profile. So my approach to asking link building questions is simple. Question 1, have you ever paid for links? Question 2, have you hired someone else to build links for you? Question 3, are you lying? This last one is very important because a lot of times clients will not want to make themselves seem culpable for things that they might know were not a good idea. However, I have to assure you that knowing as much as you can before you go into the link analysis is really important, mostly because link analysis is hard and it takes a lot of time. If you by chance do get a client that's willing to give up the goods on what they bought and when, get everything you possibly can, names, addresses, phone numbers, receipts. That way, we'll have a really good picture of what was linked to, when, and who to contact about getting those things removed. So here's the link analysis process. We're going to start with correlating the issues we're seeing at the site, perhaps a drop in traffic or search impressions, with an algorithm change. Then we're going to bring out the tools. Webmaster Tools by Google, Majestic SEO, Open Site Explorer. We're going to review anchor text and referring domains first, followed by a full manual review of all backlinks. And then we're going to decide, after our analysis and diagnosis, whether we take action or not. When it comes to correlation, step 1 is you got to trust the Moz. I've provided a link to the Google algorithm change history. This is really one of the most comprehensive lists of algorithm changes out there. Easily accessible, easy to use, highly recommended. Step 2 is that we're going to try to correlate a drop in traffic with an algorithm change, or the addition of an algorithmic filter that Google announces or that the webmaster community identifies. In step 3, if we have correlated with an algorithm change, then we're going to bring out the tools. If the drop in traffic that the analytics shows doesn't correlate with any known algorithm, we're going to move on. And I'll tell you why. Because time management in SEO is key. And link analysis is an absolute time and money sink, and we want to avoid doing more work than we have to. So again, sticking with correlation of issues with an algorithm change, if you have Google Analytics set up for your site, which you should, and which the guy before you should, if we're talking about the example where you've got a new client, then you should be able to use this great tool, which is going to provide a visualization of your search traffic over the life of your Google Analytics data and overlay that with all of the known algorithm changes that occurred during that time. So in this graphic here, you can see that the site in question had a couple of panda problems, which are the red lines, but doesn't seem to have run afoul of the penguin algorithms, which is the blue line. Now that we have kind of gone through and done some correlation work, for the purposes of this lab, we're going to say we found some link issues. Some potential drops in traffic that are not due to Panda, but instead Penguin or another algorithm that may have targeted link spam. The first thing that we're going to need to do is look at performance, and these are our analytics tools. Analytics tools that are free and that every single one of you should know and be comfortable with are Google Webmaster Tools and Google Analytics. Additional tool suites that are kind of popular but are paid, stuff like Raven Tools I really like, and Site Catalyst, which we use here at work. We're also going to want to bring out the link analysis tools that we just talked about, which is again Google Webmaster Tools, Majestic SEO, and Open Site Explorer. What I'm going to do now is kind of take you through an introduction of how to use Google Webmaster Tools in terms of kind of assessing a link profile and doing a link analysis. I'll then do the same for Majestic and Open Site Explorer. I'll use the free versions wherever possible, and I'll let you know if I'm ever doing anything that requires the paid version. So here's how you pull a backlink report from Google Webmaster Tools. So as you can see, we have the Webmaster Tools interface here. We're down in the search traffic on the left-hand menu under links to your site. This is the all domains after the overview, which I can't show you because it has client info. It's got the top 316 domains that have links to the page. I only use Webmaster Tools in terms of linking for all the domains. I'll download it and combine it in a spreadsheet with Open Site Explorer and Majestic SEO data in order to kind of aggregate a list of domains that I can check out individually. That kind of gives you a more complete picture of what your backlink profile looks like. So for this one, I would just probably bust it out to as many rows as possible and then go ahead and download the table. So now we have our first set of data that we're going to need to do our link analysis. Moving on, we're going to take a look at Majestic SEO, which is just an all-around boss link analysis tool. It's my favorite tool. I use it all the time. Let's do a quick demo and I'll show you how to pull some reports and look at the information available. This is the Majestic SEO homepage. To start the search, we're going to enter our domain name, which is FindLaw.com. We're going to run a search for that using the fresh index. You can see the fresh index is for the last 90 days. And the historic index is data from kind of the history of the Majestic SEO crawler. So we're looking at root domain level right now. You can also sort by subdomain, file path, or this single URL, so you can get metrics on, or link metrics on an individual page. So FindLaw has an overall trust flow of 76. So trust flow, if you'll recall, is a number predicting how trustworthy a page is based on how trustworthy sites are that link to your page, or the FindLaw.com page in this case. And citation flow is the number which predicts how influential a page is based on how many sites link to it total. So the other element here is the topical trust flow, which is a little bit of a new metric, and it kind of categorizes sites that link to other sites in different verticals. So as FindLaw is clearly a website that's in the industry vertical for the law, it's pretty useful that we're at 76 for trust flow there. If we scroll a little bit further down, we're going to see the total number of external backlinks, the total number of referring domains and referring IPs. And below, you kind of have the total number in the last 5 years, which is that historic index that we talked about. And this goes to kind of your overall backlink profile in terms of link diversity. Over here, you have a graph that kind of shows trust flow and citation flow. Ideally, you'd have a lot of sites way out here, but this is not too bad in terms of what you would want to see on your link graph. We also have a few other metrics, including homepage title, educational and governmental backlink information, total number of indexed URLs, etc. We also have backlink history, which shows how many backlinks have been reviewed by Majestic over the last 90 days, and the total number of referring domains. And the last thing we'll take a look at quickly is the backlink breakdown, images and text links versus no follow, deleted, and live at last crawl. Over here we have anchor text. You can see we have FindLaw, FindLaw Network, FindLaw.com, some naked URLs. Overall, a pretty decent looking top anchor text. And then, of course, the rest, 88%, is just other stuff that we don't really, doesn't aggregate well enough to be listed there. It's not in the top 10. So the first thing that we can use Majestic for that's really helpful is taking a look at the referring domains. You can see that these are the top referring domains that we're getting links from. So 480,000, that's quite a bit. And basically, you're going to get some basic metrics. Trust flow and citation flow are the big ones, but what we really want this for is to download it and add it to that list that we started with the referring domains from Webmaster Tools. So what we would do is click on Download Data. We would save, download the links, and add them to the Excel document, and then we'd go through and do our link analysis domain by domain. Here we have a list of all the backlinks to the website, which, when we get into the millions is quite a lot. So you're going to be capped at 10,000 if you want to download these links. But again, if you need to dig deep, sometimes you just need to dig deep, and you'll need to download them all. Now, the most useful aspect of Majestic SEO, from my point of view, is the way that you can sort through anchor text. So you have at this tab, you have the anchor text listed on the left-hand side. You then have the vertical for topical trust flow, as well as the referring domains for each anchor text. FindLaw, FindLaw.com, FindLaw Network, the naked URL, those are all fine. But what it's really useful for is if we find some anchor text that may appear to be slightly unnatural, we can take a look at it and see which domains are referring. So what we would do is just click into the referring domains. We get a list here of all of the domains that link using that anchor text. We then download the data, and then we kind of fill that all into a spreadsheet after we saved it, because you go down and find more kind of unnatural anchor text and add that to the same document as well. And once we have that together, then we can go through and sort the domains. And I'm going to give you a real quick example of how we would take a look at that in an Excel sheet in order to determine if we wanted to take action and remove or disavow any of these domains if they were in our link profile. So here we have a pre-sorted Excel document for potentially negative domains that had anchor text that I didn't particularly like for a site that I was working on. You can see up at the top, your columns are going to be referring domain, IP address, which is important because sites on the same IP address, like these right here, are potentially parts of, like a link farm or a link network type of system, and that's something that we should keep an eye on. In addition, since we're in the legal vertical, there's not really much reason for Google to attribute value to a link that comes from somewhere that's not in the US, because obviously the legal system is fairly regionalized. So anything that comes from, outside of the US is potentially suspect as well. Then we have our key Majestic indicators, citation flow and trust flow. Extremely low trust flow should obviously be a warning sign that the domain may not be that great and we could probably get rid of it. Then we have total links and deleted links. If these numbers match up, or this one here, which is the no follow links, if those numbers match up, for example, if the total links right here, you have 4 total links, they've all been deleted, you probably don't need to spend any more time on it because they're not passing any value anyway. And lastly, over here, this is kind of the big one, is estimated citation flow and estimated link trust flow. If you have links that aren't passing any value and you can kind of verify that they don't look like great links, these are probably all things that you could get rid of in your link profile. Remember that quality these days far outweighs quantity in Google's eyes in how we kind of decide whether or not to keep a domain or a link. So that's just a quick overview of how I would go through and sort the domains and kind of decide whether or not we want to take action or not. Finally, we're going to take a look at Open Site Explorer, which has a lot of different functionality along with the whole Moz suite of tools. This is Moz Pro's Open Site Explorer link analysis tool. You can see that once again, we have FindLaw.com in here. It's got the domain authority, the page authority, and remember that those are kind of metrics that Moz came up with to determine the likelihood that your page is going to rank well or your site is going to rank well in the Google search results. And we have individual page link metrics, just discovered links, established links, and then as part of the Pro tool, you get social metrics, Facebook likes, Twitter tweets, and Google plus ones. Just like Majestic and Webmaster Tools, you also have this list of all the links that Open Site Explorer has for the site. You can get a list of just discovered links, which is recently acquired, backlinks that the tool has found. Top pages is the pages that have been linked to the most, and linking domains. This is really the only thing that I use Open Site Explorer for. Just to grab this and add it to that Excel spreadsheet with all of our linking domains that's aggregated over the 3 tools, so we can kind of do link analysis that way, domain by domain. Finally, here's the anchor text report. I don't use this, but it's obviously a resource that you can take advantage of. I think Majestic is kind of better and is comprehensive in terms of kind of picking this stuff out. One final thing that I do want to show you is the compare link metrics tool. So here we have FindLaw side by side with Justia, one of our competitors, and you can see that we've got the page authority, and you can go through and look at individual metrics there. Some of them more sophisticated than others. Subdomain metrics, and then root domain metrics, all there, and you can compare up to 5 different sites. It's really great for niche targeting and understanding the competition in your business vertical. Now that we've got a pretty firm grasp on how to use these tools at a basic level and get reports from them, let's try to take a look at how we would analyze anchor text if we were actually engaged in a site audit. Anchor text should be relevant contextually, fit naturally into the content, and should not be over-optimized. That's review. Anytime you see anchor text that doesn't seem to fit and it looks suspect or is over-optimized, definitely mark that down as something that you want to keep an eye on. With the Majestic report, we can open it in Excel, and then we can sort it by category and look at a lot of those metrics that we talked about during the demo. Trust flow and estimated link trust flow are really important ones. If you eliminate the domains that you don't want to get rid of, that you're comfortable with keeping, even with the potentially over-optimized anchor text, then you want to take what's left and save it in a text file for later use. For referring domain analysis, we kind of want to aggregate across tools here. We want to go to Webmaster Tools and download all referring domains. We want to go to Open Site Explorer and get the report from the Linking Domains tab. And Majestic SEO, referring domains, grab that report from there as well. Then we're going to add all of these domains together into an Excel spreadsheet, sort them by name, eliminate duplicates, and then analyze these domains one by one to determine if there are potential issues. If we go through these domains and we find that there are issues, then we want to investigate further, or we just add them right away to a new text file for bad domains. And if we don't find a problem, make a note that you checked. Say that you looked at the domain and the domain is fine. Also, you may want to annotate what kind of site we're looking at and maybe the page rank or the domain authority of that site. Again, save all this into a text file because you will not remember later. Next up, we're going to go the route that I like to call the kitchen sink. We're going to do a manual review of all the backlinks to your site. Now, this is called the kitchen sink because it's going to cost a lot of money because it's going to take a lot of time. This is really labor intensive when it's done right. The stuff that I'm going to talk about now, the tools that you use are going to be paid tools. So you should know how to do this at any rate, but just know that these features are not available in the free tools because what you're going to need to do is pull both the historical and fresh index links from Majestic SEO into one report to have all of the backlinks that Majestic has in its index for your site, and it's probably going to be a lot. And then you're going to want to also get all of the inbound links and just discovered links from Open Site Explorer. Combine, sort, and filter in Excel. Excel is your friend. Learn how to use it. And then we go on a deep, dark journey through all of these backlinks. Here's a free tip. Make sure your virus software is up to date. Make sure you've got an ad blocker. Make sure that you've got a malware software installed, spyware, the whole 9 yards. These links are more than likely, if it's a site with more than 100,000 backlinks, these sites are more than likely going to take you to places that you really don't want to be. So, privacy filter probably also in play here. And once that is complete, you're going to move forward with the links that you feel are going to either harm your site or really aren't helping your site. So we want to create another text document of all the links we find out there that are suspect. So now we should have 2 text files with domains. The anchor text report should be at the domain level, and the referring domains report, obviously, should be at the domain level. And then you should have one with URLs, which is your manual backlink check. And you want to save these for reference, because it's a ton of work. You're going to have to tell the client why you spent 19 hours on something that didn't produce any tangible, immediate results. Everyone is going to appreciate this. You are going to appreciate it. The client is going to appreciate it. Your boss is going to appreciate it. The guy who follows you in your job will most certainly appreciate the thorough work you did documenting all of your link analysis. Let's talk a little bit about steps that we can do to kind of take action against links that we feel are not really in our best interest. The first is an old friend, the rel nofollow link. So where do we want to use rel nofollow? Paid links, header, footer, and sidebar links, basically any static link. You can see in the example on the right, I've highlighted on either side of the actual content and at the top there, those are all static elements. All of those links should be no-followed. If they're not, they're going to appear probably on every page on the site and potentially cause a problem both for the site owner and for you. Link removal, option 2. This requires outreach to the webmasters where these links reside. I have a statistic here that says there's a very low response rate, less than 5%. I'll be real honest with you, I've never had a single webmaster respond to a request to take down a link. In addition, if you paid for the links to get there in the first place, there is potentially an issue where the webmaster might ask to receive some money in exchange for taking the link down. Don't ever pay to have a link taken down unless you've got millions on the line. So the third option here is using the Google Webmaster Tools Disavow tool. This tool was developed specifically for sites that were unable to get links to their site either no-followed or removed. This basically allows you to impute a no-follow, and Google will no longer give those links credit. You're not passing PageRank, right? It's just a link that people can click on to get from that site to your site. So real quickly, I'm going to show you how to take a text file, turn it into a disavow file, and then add it to Google Webmaster Tools. So the first thing that we want to do is move all of the domains that we've decided that we don't want anything to do with from an Excel file into a text file. And when we do that, we want to make sure that since we're talking about domains, we add the domain prefix in front of all of the domains that we're trying to disavow, and then only, again, use the root domain, just the web directory time.com. That's it, no www, http, or anything else. You also want to add a comment up top, and you add a comment with hash mark. Basically, what this does is it's going to tell Google or any other automated system that's reading it that this is a comment and shouldn't be construed as an instruction. So you could type whatever you wanted there, and the automated system wouldn't include it in the disavowal. So what we have up here is we want to say, we want to ask Google to please disavow links and domains. You do want to mention any other efforts you may have undertaken to try and get them removed. You know, I just generally say I was unable to get the links removed back to the website. So please, could you disavow them? After we've got this all set up and saved, then we're going to upload it to Google Webmaster Tools. So here we are at the Webmaster Tools Disavow Tool link. Remember that you're going to need administrator access to Google Webmaster Tools to even attempt to do a disavow file. So what you're going to want to do is select your site and click Disavow Links. You are going to get a lot of scary messages here. Advanced feature should only be used with caution. If used incorrectly, feature can potentially harm your site's performance. Scary stuff, but we do want to continue. We want to stay the course. So for this particular file, we have already uploaded a list of disavowed links. When you add a new file, if you are adding new domains, you can kind of add the new file. You don't need to delete the old file. So we go to Choose File, select the disavow file, and hit Submit. Notice it says submitting this file will override the existing file. If there is an existing file and you've done your link analysis properly, the answer is yes. And it's now replaced the old file with the new file. And you have just disavowed however many domains you wanted to get rid of. Congratulations. So the next issue that we want to discuss when it comes to the disavow tool is whether to use it as a scalpel or a hatchet. Now here's a quote from Matt Cutts. Again, he's the head of Google's web spam team. And he basically says that if you see something strange, something that doesn't make sense, that you don't control and you don't know where it came from, go ahead and disavow it, even at the domain level, not just the URL. I think Matt Cutts is right on here, and I advocate the absolute hatchet approach. If it's a link that's not adding value and could potentially harm your site, get rid of it. So finally, after we've taken action, we want to know how long is it going to take before we start to see results. And again, nobody knows. Algorithmic penalties are only going to change the search results when the algorithm, i.e. Penguin, gets updated by Google, which can be as long as 6 months. And in fact, right now, as of July 2014, there hasn't been a Penguin update since October of 2013. And even with a manual penalty, remember a manual penalty allows you to kind of have visibility into when a penalty gets lifted and what you need to do to lift a penalty. Recovery can be tough. We saw it from that initial slide on the Penguin analytics. The recovery didn't go all the way back up to the pre-Penguin levels. So the gist here is that there comes a point when you gotta fish or cut bait. It's a big decision. For those of you who aren't down with the fishing metaphors, it's when you need to choose a definite course of action, especially to decide whether to participate in or retreat from a given activity. Penalties, years of neglect, a lack of budget, poor advice, a dishonest client, all of this can contribute to a decision to just pick up stakes and abandon a domain. The key thing here is that you got to know the site, you got to know the client and the client's business. You know, if it's a branded site for a venerable old name business, he's probably going to want to invest the money to try and clean it up. But really the question is waiting for a recovery worth the time, the money, and the effort? So finally, we're going to do some review and cautions. No instant results in leak cleanup efforts. That's a big takeaway you should know. The disavow tool, you need to make a decision whether to use it as a scalpel or a hatchet. Know whether or not you're being two-timed by the client. Does the client have another strategist, another marketing consultant, somebody else out there contributing to the site that you don't know about? Are they lying to you about backlinks? Try and figure this stuff out. This is part of the account management side of being an SEO. Make sure you understand the absolute latest on what is happening in algorithm land. These changes can occur quickly and without real notice. If you go on vacation for a week, make sure somebody's checking your analytics. If you're in the office doing it, try to take a look at least once a day. Finally, again, save and document everything. I cannot stress this enough. And why does this guy keep talking about saving everything? Here's some clues for you. Yep, sued. Lawsuit. If you want to avoid a situation where you get a lawsuit filed against you, you need to document everything. What the client told you, what the client didn't tell you, what you found, what you didn't find, what you did and what you didn't do. Documentation is what's going to help you avoid litigation, and if you get involved in litigation, it's probably going to get you out. Again, it's also a huge favor to everyone else in your agency or your company and to the guy who's going to follow you. Just keep track of everything. It's the best course of action. Some final key takeaways. Despite reports to the contrary, links are still the primary ranking factor for organic search. So plan for tomorrow, but live today. You got to do the link building and the link analysis and know what's going on. You got to know your sites and their histories. You got to have background into everything that's happened, all the efforts that have gone into putting the site where it is now. Work with the tools of the trade regularly. Understand what they do, how to use them, and how to get the most out of them, because that's really going to be what saves you time in the long run. And you want to make decisions based on data, to act or not to act. Can you correlate a drop in search traffic with an issue with a link algorithm? Well, if you can, then you go forward and you invest the time and the money into sorting it out. If you can't, then you move on and look for the next problem. Stay current. Know what's going on in the industry. This is an industry that is entirely built on search. It exists because of the internet. As such, everyone in the industry is always online and they're always sharing everything. There are no deep, dark secrets out there about SEO. You can find out everything you need to know in probably about 30 minutes, compile a pretty solid dossier of things that are going to educate you on the profession. In that vein, here's a list of the people who know. These are all Twitter handles. I think most of you are probably on Twitter. If you're not, I highly recommend it. These people will keep you abreast of the latest developments in search. They're funny, smart, and most importantly, will share the good work of their companies and others. So that's my process for doing link analysis. I hope you found it useful. Best of luck to you in your careers, and I hope you all become great SEOs. Thank you.